This episode of Boss Rush After Dark is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn more about Boss Rush Media's family of podcasts, head on over to bossrushmedia.com or patreon.com/bossrushmedia. Thanks for your continued support.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Boss Rush After Dark, your alternative podcast show for the network. It's your boy, LeRon, back in the house tonight. And with me, as always, are my wonderful co-hosts, leading us off with the Mad Pharmacist, Stephanie Klimov. What's up?
Hello, how are y'all?
All right. It's a Wednesday, so you know how that goes.
Yes.
Yeah. And the main man himself, Mr. Pat Klein. Dude, what's up?
Hey, I am surviving. Honestly, work has been crazy the last few days.
Oh, tell me about it. Oh my God. I don't know if I'm just ready for this year to be over with or what, but I mean, work has been putting its foot in my ass.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready for like time off, vacation, stuff of that nature. Speaking of time off, if you notice, Corey Derrick is not with us tonight because he has time off from the podcast, but not time off from work. He's at his company's annual Christmas party tonight. So that guy's out getting drunk into shenanigans and stuff like that. He didn't say if his wife was coming with him, did he?
She was. They're probably going to have another baby.
Oh no. Oh no. Dude, snip, bro. It's worth it.
I swear. Yeah,
Just in time to use another one of those new rooms in his house.
He's got to christen it.
Yep.
Yeah. Like that's right, because he is. They are in the process of getting a new home. Yeah. So everyone, how's it going?
Well, for me, it's I'm trying to enjoy and get pumped for the holidays. I'm on my third and final major work presentation in the last few weeks, so I'm pretty burnt out work-wise, but this last presentation is Friday. I almost panicked. I'm like, oh no, is it tomorrow? Friday from like 3 to 6 p.m., which is lame. But other than that, I'm looking forward to what's after that. It's the Christmassy lights, happy time of year. At least I'm trying to buy into it.
Yeah. Well, are you a bit of a humbug? I don't think you are.
I'm the opposite. Christmas is my favorite time of year.
Oh yeah. I figure it's even more wonderful because you have a kid.
Yeah, and even not to brag, but my kid's he makes, so far at least, Christmas easy for me. He's not like kicking and screaming demanding an iPhone 15. Like, he's still got the kid in him. He's asking for a set of Dogman comic books. He's asking for freaking dominoes, kinetic sand, slime. I'm like, dude, you're so freaking fun. Thank you for not being a lame ass wannabe cool guy yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more fun when they like actual fucking toys.
Yeah.
I want toys. Or at least a Lego set.
Yeah, people who try, adults try to act like they never, I don't know, adults who don't give in to childlike wonder and imagination. I don't think it's a kind of existence I want to live. I mean, don't ignore your adult duties, but other than that, as long as you're a functioning person in society, who's to say, tinker around with some toys once in a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys just caught it. My cat literally just jumped and you could see it fly through the camera.
I missed it.
It was fast. You're going to have to replay the video later.
Gotta go fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I feel you. I wish Christmas meant more to me right now. I mean, hopefully when it gets closer, maybe Christmas Eve, I'll probably watch some Christmas videos to get into the mood. Speaking of that, what is your favorite Christmas movie?
Mm.
Actual Christmas movie, right? Because
Yeah.
I immediately want to say Die Hard.
And I joked around with that at my work. Like, we were asked what our favorite Christmas movie was. I'm like, oh, it's easy, Die Hard. It ain't Christmas. Christmas doesn't come until Hans Gruber falls from the Nakatomi Plaza.
Hey, you know what? I'm all aboard. If people want to consider that a Christmas movie, then so be it. It's got Christmas in it, okay? So people need to just.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Christmas. They say Merry Christmas.
Y'all joked the shit out of me last week when I said Mean Girls because it did have a Christmas scene in it.
I don't remember this.
Was it you guys? I thought it was you guys that did that.
Steph.
I mean, Corey is always in my corner though because all I do is say Mean Girls, and like
I mean, Mean
Oh,
Girls is
maybe.
about what day is that?
The
September.
Wednesdays we wear pink.
on Wednesdays we
No,
were pink.
no, the
Yeah.
one day
Oh,
where the guy's like, "What day is it?" and he's like,
oh.
"It's this day,"
Oh yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
and then that's now a meme.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I don't know if
I
I
think they
have
actually. I think.
one.
Uh huh. Hmm.
Fine,
As a
I'll let you
kid,
guys. Oh,
oh,
never
sorry.
mind.
As a kid, it
Sketch
was the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like
the claymation.
the claim. Yeah.
The stop motion. Oh yeah, that's a good one. It's a funny story. My boyfriend and I we went to Busch Gardens Christmas Town
Hmm.
Monday night, and we went to one of the gift shops, and they had like all that Rudolph stuff, like from the
Hmm.
actual like from the old like the TV event thing, and I kind of got caught up in the moment because I was like I saw like they had they had picture frames, and it had Santa, it had Rudolph, his girlfriend, and it had the abominable snowman and stuff like that, and it was so cute and so cool at the same time that I was like fuck, I want this, and I want us to take Christmas photos and like putting one in there, and it was like our keepsake thing for for the years, and so like that. And it was funny because I I didn't cave and I didn't buy it right. So I told him as when we were leaving the park, I was like, I almost bought the picture frame thing, and
Mm,
uh and he was like, well, I'm kind of glad you did, and I'm like, why is that? He's like, because as much as I love Christmas stuff, I don't like on brand stuff.
mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Mhm.
he's the one that he does he creates the festive part of Christmas. He doesn't just buy the festive stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, that's good to know. So, like he's artsy and craftsy, so like yeah, I'll let him handle that stuff because that's less I have to worry about.
See, at least
Nice.
making the gingerbread house.
It was so cool. It was so, I can probably convince him to do that though. We haven't done anything like that yet, and we probably won't start doing that until like we start living together, stuff of that nature. Because he's probably gonna take advantage of like living with a tall guy. So like I'm gonna be hanging up every damn thing, and like putting everything together. And like he already knows I can cook, so like yeah, like I'm probably gonna be on the hook for a whole bunch of shit, and he's just gonna like reap the rewards. But whatever.
Mm. Well,
Uh,
I would say mine is I was always partial to Home Alone.
Oh,
You
my.
know,
Yep.
We just watched Home Alone recently. As I need to sit down and watch A Christmas Story again.
That's a good one too. But Home Alone, had that traditional Midwest Christmas. Like I loved the scenes with. I loved it, like the whole big family or the whole big dysfunctional family. But it also had those moments of like the church and seeing the Christmas lights pop up in the neighborhood, and
Yeah,
of course the traps are fun and stuff. But it was a heartwarming movie that it talked about like the joy of Christmas, the joy of being around your family. Um, but still, like it had its comedy moments as well. I don't know. I
Yes.
really liked it.
yeah. No, that's a good movie. That's actually a good movie. That's definitely par for the season.
I'm glad you bring stuff like that up because it just reminds me of the classics that I kind of let fall by the wayside. Like with the cousin holiday Thanksgiving, I kind of dug out Planes, Trains, and Automobiles a few years back, and now I like I don't know, I'm weird about I watch it every Thanksgiving now. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to find my that Christmas movie. I don't think this one's gonna be it, but I was looking back at some old, like really cheesy Arnold Schwarzenegger comedies like Twins,
Jingle all
and
the way.
yeah, I want to watch Jingle All the Way and see like, is this a candidate for Christmas movie? I
Mhm.
don't know.
Uh, it could be.
So
Anyway, I
Um,
was curious about that question.
yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, I would stick with A Christmas Story because like there's so many like funny lines in that movie, like from the kid getting his tongue stuck on the damn flagpole to the you'll
mm,
shoot your eye
Not the
out, kid.
dreadful triple dog dare.
Yeah. Yeah, like that movie has a magic to it, and I swear it doesn't matter if it's your first time seeing it or if you're a million times seeing it, the movie's always funny and it's always like a good time and stuff like that. Yeah.
Hmm. Nice. All right. Favorite Christmas food,
Wait, favorite Christmas what?
like specialty food.
Oh, food.
Hmm.
I don't
Gingerbread
think I.
snowman. Gingerbread
Okay.
snowman.
Okay. I would have to say eggnog. Otherwise, I also like peppermint bark.
Mm, that is good. Um, I did have some really nice gingerbread cookies lately, so I think I'll go with that because I don't know. There's not a lot of Christmassy type foods I can think of. Like if we're talking about savory stuff, I know my family always serves ham, but like I don't know, I eat ham all year round.
Mhm.
Um,
I'm thinking
so I
like
think
the Christmas stuff, like gumdrops or I don't know, the
um,
chocolate orange
I
or.
would definitely go gingerbread then. That's like kind of my
Mhm.
go-to. Is my favorite. I actually had a. Oh, I'm sorry, Paxel. I once in a while indulge in a Starbucks specialty coffee, and this one was like a gingerbread cookie chai. It was actually
Ooh.
very delicious. So,
Yeah. I wish I liked coffee enough to do that.
well, you're probably better off and you save money.
True.
So that alone cost me like $7 before tip because
Hmm.
everything is asking for a tip these days. And it's not like I don't want
Yeah.
to tip these people, but now if I'm tipping every damn thing now, I'm like, I can't afford this.
We're the only culture that believes that too.
Yeah, in
Every
Europe,
other
you're like
freak.
not supposed to tip.
Yeah, and what's crazy about it is I feel like we've come to a point with our tip culture that we feel guilty if we don't leave a tip.
And we're
Like,
made to feel guilty if we don't leave a tip. It's like, dude, why
yeah,
are you making me feel guilty that your boss isn't paying you enough?
right,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I I feel like it's the whole chicken and the egg thing, right? Because like I feel like if nobody worked for the wages that they got, like that would definitely fix like the wage disparity for like the service industry and stuff like that. But at the
Well,
same time, like if enough people do not want to work for these places are going to shut down and stuff like that, which is going to cripple the economy.
well, that's why a lot of restaurants have been shutting down. Like they're short staffed. They can't pay people or they can't reach the wage that people want to get.
Yeah, well, I feel like we need to do some research because I feel like it's a crime against humanity that like people are getting paid $2.15 an hour for like back breaking work and
Hmm.
like we've got people who are entitled to think that well these people want to work for that wage so like it's not my fault and I'm like yeah it's not your fault that these people want to work for that. Some people are really good at those jobs, which means that 2.15 an hour, they know they're getting supplemented for it. But there's other people like when you have like people that are partaking of these places and stuff, and like they nitpick, they look for every single thing that can be like, oh well, they're not getting my tip or whatnot and stuff like that. Um, like prices in a restaurant, like if you If you don't want a tip, don't fucking go out and order the food, you know. But at the same
Yep.
time, like do not take us to the cleaners, because like now it seems like the tips are almost implied, like when you swipe your card or whatnot, like here's a good question for you guys. When you swipe your card at one of those places that the tip thing comes up, what is the default lowest amount that you see first? Because like there's always like this percentage, this percentage, this percentage, and
Yeah.
there's an other. Like what's
I
the what's
Mm.
what's the lowest one you see on average?
by the way, this is actually a really good topic, just side note.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I was thinking to keep.
This is the lowest that I see. Like I usually see a 10%, a 20%, and like a I don't know, maybe one higher or like 10, 15, 20
hmm
around there.
I usually see the 15 as the lowest one.
Okay, so check this out. On average, most of the places that I swipe my card, and this includes from First Watch to Starbucks to Panera and all that stuff. 18% is the start. Is
Start.
the
Wow.
lowest one. 18%. Then it goes to 20. Then it goes to 25%.
You see, okay, so my belief with the tip is that you have to serve me, like literally me. Like you're not just doing your job, like I don't know, like walking in and grabbing my food for me does not warrant a tip unless it's like in it like a small indie like store, like one that I know is not a commercial chain. Then yeah, I will go ahead and I'll throw like a small tip on there. But honestly, if I the only reason you're getting a tip is because you served me, um, or like you drove my food to me, or cut my hair.
It's
And
a service thing, right?
yeah,
Um, can we all agree and please disagree if I am wrong? Because I'm just going based off of like when I can recall this happening, when tips started automatically showing up when you swipe your credit card when you go
hmm
get something was COVID. Like, is it me or did this just magically start happening like around COVID time? I feel like all of a sudden you are always getting asked prompted to tip on things that we traditionally have not tipped before.
I feel like that's when I started paying attention.
Mm.
I
That's
think I've seen it earlier, but
I,
not too
I I
much
believe I'd seen it
earlier.
earlier too, but I feel like I started noticing it, like during COVID. And what's crazy about this is that like when it's at the POS, like the electronic station where you're paying at, how do you know the tip is going to the actual server or whoever is actually taking your order and has done the work? How do you know? How do you
Well,
know?
at a fast food chain, it doesn't. It gets
Exactly,
split
and
between
oh
everyone.
shoot! Speaking of fast food chains, like like some of the nonchalant fast food chains that were like McDonald's and stuff, they're starting to work that shit in there.
You know what? I want to start asking people what they really think because I'm naturally a guilty feeling person by nature. So when I go there and I don't think most people anyway are doing it on purpose when they're watching you. They're probably just watching you to get the transaction over with. But maybe there are people be like, give me some money. Like I don't know. And then I feel guilty and then I'll be like, well, they didn't provide full service, but I don't want to give no tips, so maybe I'll give the lower of the tip or whatever. I want to ask some of these like retail workers, I'm like, be honest, be straight with me. Like, do
Do
you
you see the
really,
money?
A, do you see the money? And B, like, would you get pissed if someone who literally is just picking something up not tip? Like, I kind of want to know if it really bothers them or not, and if they even get money or not.
Yeah,
Okay,
that would be a
okay,
good
okay,
question to
boys and
ask
girls,
them, to be
clutch,
honest.
clutch your pearls because I'm coming in hot on this one. If I do carry out, I don't leave a tip. I don't tip on the bill.
I agree with that.
I agree. I mean, sometimes I'll leave a tip just because I'm caving into my
Hmm.
guiltiness, not necessarily because I think it's required.
I say one in every 7 visits that I do carry out, they'll see a tip. You know,
Okay, yeah, like I
um,
said, the more individual owned ones, like if I get something at a family restaurant or whatever, yeah, I will give you a tip because, I want to supplement you and make sure that you stay in business. But not for like a major chain like Starbucks or
yeah.
Panera. Like, why?
And actually, Starbucks actually pays their people decently well. Like Starbucks, there's a union for people that work at Starbucks.
Hmm.
So like yeah. So
Mm.
that's one of those situations where I feel like if you're not leaving actual currency in a cup for a tip, the company is taking that money.
I
That's
wonder.
the way I feel. I'm not saying that it's happening. That's the way I feel because if all tips were supposed to be made if all tips are supposed to be made collected electronically, why would they have the cup up there?
Well, it's supposed to be broken into everyone's paycheck is
Yeah,
how
it
it's.
is. Yeah.
I think the benign reason behind it is many people don't carry cash anymore.
Hmm.
So they want to find kind of a more convenient, easy way to tip, which I can understand. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Now that you mention it, is there really like anyone auditing how tip is being managed? I feel like from a transparency standpoint, maybe it would be kind of a nice to have that policy somewhere, have like something keeping these employees whole here.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to know the tip is going to the one that needs it the most and not to the,
Exactly.
manager.
Right.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the whole chicken the egg thing because you know what? I just obviously the companies themselves would not agree, but from the little guy, little person standpoint, I'm like, you know what? Why don't we just solve this whole issue and kind of be like a Europe to some extent, where just adjust the wage and then eliminate the cultural need to leave a tip. I know that's not going to happen because if it
Hmm.
does, everyone needs to buy in, right? But I
Yeah.
don't know. We just are tips kind of for big companies, only speaking about big companies, are tips an excuse to keep, leaning on only paying minimum wage?
It's exactly
It
what it
is.
is.
No, it is. That's a good question. It is honestly, and I don't want to preach too much about capitalism or whatnot, but I feel like the more and more society realizes that like they can get rich off the back of people, like this is going to be a problem, and then we're gonna see implied tips everywhere. Like at first it used to be like like if you go to a restaurant and your party's bigger than six people, like there was automatic gratuity involved. Because guess what? That is real work for the server at that point.
Hmm.
Hmm.
You know, um, you know, um, and stuff like that. But tip culture is wild. Tip culture is wild right now, and sometimes I get guilted about the fact that I've left a tip. you know, for something that sometimes like somebody in the kitchen put that food together. You know. Yeah. So why not? Even though I understand it's their job, it's like the bare minimum and stuff like that. But like
Hmm.
if I know it's at a restaurant where all the tips are getting the entire 100% of the tips are getting split amongst the entire staff. Yeah, I will probably leave some form of a tip. Or when I know for sure, like for example, like one of the times I usually break the no tipping rule on carryout is like when I go to sushi restaurants. When I do a carry out for sushi restaurant because hey, the actual sushi chef like that dude mastered that craft.
Mm.
I guarantee you they are paying that sushi chef the premium, though, because
Yeah,
that is a skill.
yeah, yeah.
You know what is kind of similar, if you don't mind me bringing up? It's not the same, but it is similar in principle and very timely for the time of year, is donations and charity. Because let me just preface it by I am not McScrooge or whatever. I'm not, but I'm also not like a whatever. Anyway, I so many places I go buy shit. At the end, they're like, "Do you want to round up to the next dollar, or do you want to donate to this? Do you want to donate to that?" And then now that it's like Christmas season, now we got like every single motherfucking Cub Scout, Boy Scout, and I've got a Boy Scout, so like I'm not just shitting on them for no reason. Like I have, the sports teams, we have the town kids, and then the people who ring the bell, Salvation Army, and like I. This is a particular year where money's already tight as it is, buying holiday presents, and on top of that, I'm a single mom, whatever. I'm leaving tips for takeout now. And now everywhere I go, it's like, do you want to leave $1 for homeless cats and dogs? Do you want to leave $1 out for starving families? Do you want to please buy these cookies so these little boys and girls can keep playing their sports? And
Mm.
I actually got to a point where I looked, I'm like, wow, I made a ton of donate, and like I should be proud or whatever, but I'm like, dang, I'm not gonna go fucking bankrupt if I keep donating with every single transaction I buy. But then I feel like a dick when I'm like, no, I cannot give you my money.
I mean,
I
it,
mean,
it
yeah.
it's rough because honestly, a lot of those really don't need it. But at the same time, you want to teach, like, if it's a child's group that's, trying to solicit donations, you want to teach them, hey, donating things is good.
Hmm.
You're being a productive member of society, and like you're not being this greedy, selfish bastard. But at the same time, the Boy Scouts have plenty of fucking money. Like they, or even like the Salvation Army. Yeah, they get volunteers to bring that shit, and you want to, give the donation because you're trying to teach like goodwill is the good thing. But Salvation Army, like most of that money is administration fees.
I was gonna say, was the Salvation Army the one that kind of got a lot of flack
Red
for
Cross.
where was it Red Cross?
Yeah.
Because
Salvation
I
Army isn't as bad as Red Cross, but Red Cross was the one where they donated a whole bunch of money to Hades, or people donated a whole bunch of money to Haiti for their
Mhm.
like earthquakes, and they only built 6 houses, and the rest went to administration fees.
That was some absolute bullshit.
Okay, so that's the other thing. Like
Mhm.
when it comes to donations, again, it's not the point is not that I'm a Scrooge, but I've become very cautious and weary about like where is all this fucking money going? Maybe I don't need like 100% to show me that the food's going in the fucking starving kid's mouth, but like I don't know, be transparent and let me know at least a good decent portion is actually going to what you're saying that it's going to, you know?
Yeah, no, it's usually tough, and a lot of times the big ones that people donate to, those are the ones that don't like they keep most of the money for other reasons than the charity itself.
When you
You,
guys are at like a grocery store and you see those like things that pop up, like, hey, do you want to donate $1 or two? Like, how do you guys kind of go about that? Because we get asked that year round.
What
if
I, what I, oh, go ahead, Pat. Go
No,
ahead.
no, go ahead. I spoke
I
the
was gonna
last one.
say because I was gonna say because I just did this today actually. Depending on this is gonna sound like I'm so fucking cheap. Depending on where my dollar lies, like will determine if I'm going to round up. You know, usually usually if I'm already over 50 cents, I'll round up. You know, but if I'm closer to the dollar line than I am, you know, if I'm closer to the dollar line on the bottom side than I am, you know, past 50 cents, I usually won't round up. You know, and honestly, the reason why I don't do that is because like honestly, like okay, rounding up $1 actually does me a favor when it comes to me keeping track of my funds and my expenses that I've spent out. You know, like it's a lot easier for me to like, oh, I spent $8 here, I spent $10 there, I spent $6 here, I spent $5 here, versus I spent $7.92 here, I spent $11.14 there, I spent $5.99 here. You know, it's everybody and you know like everybody's like you dummy, just round up. Like no, because rounding up also means either you're going to wind up in an overage or shorting yourself.
Mhm.
You know, like, and that's just the way it is. Like anyone who's had to deal with balancing a checkbook, like as you know, people of a certain age, that's why they balance their fucking checkbooks because they need to know exactly how much money it is. But and same thing applies. But most people, they don't realize how much money in and out they go, because like they're not keeping track of this stuff. And then so rounding up to $1 is an easier way to keep track of it. But like I said, I only do it when like it depends on where the dollar is going to lie. Like if it's an extra 22 cents to round up, then yeah. But if it's an extra like 96 cents to round up, no.
Mm.
I usually pass on those, to be perfectly honest. I don't know. I like it's just a small amount of money, and I just feel like that it's not really going to be anything.
Mhm.
And I also don't know a whole lot about this charity that they're going to, and that's kind of something that's important to me
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
No.
do want to know where that's going.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that in with the tip conversation because I know technically it's different in principle, but I see them both whenever I'm out consumerizing as I usually do, spending my money, and 9 times out of 10, I'll either be hit with a tip transaction or donation transaction. So I'm like,
Hmm.
oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's it puts us in a weird place. Talk about more dilemma. It puts us in a weird place because like I don't want to I don't want to I don't want to harm the people that are doing the actual work, but at the same time,
Mhm.
like we've gotten to a point now where like this shit gives us trust issues,
Yes.
because we don't know where the money's going, how it's being utilized, or if it's actually doing what it's meant to do.
Hmm.
Like because like if like Starbucks, for example, Starbucks, I want to say like the average Starbucks gets, I want to say the average Starbucks gets about, as far as foot traffic, the average Starbucks probably sees about, if you include like the cars that go through a drive-through, the average Starbucks probably sees about 500 to 700 people a day. You know, the average Starbucks, not the Starbucks in like some little like podunk town that is like
Hmm.
sleepy. I'm talking about like, because like you can swing a dead cat and hit a Starbucks on the corner of any damn street now. So the average Starbucks is seeing a lot of traffic, and stuff like that. So um, so is that money going to corporate? Is that money going to your
Mm-hmm.
staff? Or is that money going to make sure that this Starbucks keeps running properly, like it keeps food stocked and things of that nature and stuff like that? Where is it going? It's supposed to be going to the employees, and Starbucks pays their people well. I don't know why I'm picking on Starbucks, but let's turn around and
Starbucks
say,
is the easy one.
yeah, Starbucks is the easy one. Let's turn around and say like a Texas Roadhouse, where you have servers, hostess, bussers, stuff like that. I know for sure nobody's getting paid actual minimum wage. And depending on your state, minimum wage is $13.50. Depending on what state you're at. There's not that many
Well,
states that are
I think
paying that
national
are
is still
paying.
7.25, right?
Yeah, it's still 7.25 in Virginia. Like in Virginia, minimum wage is like 12 and some change. At least last I checked and stuff like that. And that's on the high. Well, I guess Virginia has to like do something decent because because um because we're right on the border of the District of Columbia, and in DC is $15 minimum.
Mm.
So Virginia
Mm.
has to look like, hey, we're doing the thing as well.
But yeah, going back to Texas Roadhouse, so yeah, I would tip there because, well, okay, I would tip there if I ate, sat in. If I go and pick up food, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember there was a time where I asked, where the tip goes, and I was told, oh, it gets pooled and distributed by the end. I'm like, I guess. But then there's like, um, let's see, what industry? Like when I get my hair done, not that it's been a while, but like I kind of like that way because I'm literally walking up to most of the time, walking to the lady or guy, and I give them my cash. I'm like, this is your tip.
Yeah, and they get it.
Yep.
Uh, Yep.
Sorry. So yeah, that's just like my little extra 2 cents there. So I don't know for just feeding the big corporate beast or whatnot, but it's just stuff to keep in mind, right? We're not trying to be contrarian or I don't know, rain on anyone's parade. I think most of us want to do no harm, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
we want to do good, but we
Mm-hmm.
are unsure because a lot of people have been ripped off in the past.
yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like it's one of those situations that like the conversation needs to keep going. Because ultimately, I think what the average person that cares about tipping and tip culture, they just want to make sure like the money they put forward is actually going to where it's supposed to go and things of that nature and stuff like that. I I err more on the side of not questioning it most times. I just ignorantly tip and be like, okay, I'll like hopefully this goes to my server. Stuff of that nature. So that's just me though. But we would like to know. We would like to know from you guys out
Yeah.
there. How do you handle like tipping culture here in the United States or wherever you're at? Because we do acknowledge that we have a good amount of listeners in the United Kingdom. So yeah, we want to know
Yeah.
how do you guys handle it? What are your thoughts on it? And actually, what's your minimum tip? Because here's where I get into trouble. I get in trouble because I don't do percentages well. So like let's say my bill is $22 at a restaurant. If I don't round it up and make it an even like $25 per se, which is already like I think that's like a 15% tip at that point. Like I usually try to math it and make it like 20%, for the tip, so $22, you just got another $4. That's usually what I do, and stuff like that, um
Oh,
and
quick quiz.
Mhm.
Do you calculate pre-tax or post-tax?
post tax.
Yeah.
Which guess what? That means someone has pocketed more money because guess
Mhm.
what? Tips are not tips are taxed differently. Like the company doesn't report the tips, but they report how much they paid out in tips to the employees, and then they get taxed the most off of it. That's some bullshit.
All right. I say that because when I was growing up, my parents would tell me, "You're supposed to calculate the tip pre-tax." And like every
Mhm.
time I hear my parents' voice in my head and I do the math and I'm with someone, they're like, "Why is it this amount?" I'm like, "'Cause it's pre-tax." And they look at me like I'm the biggest cheapskate in the world. And I'm like, "Oh, that's just what I was told that it was. Like if I'm wrong, correct me."
You're
I
not
don't know.
wrong. It's supposed to be pre-tax, but I think we've gone into the post-tax because that's how automatic tips are calculated.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to push the
Interesting.
18% button, and all of a sudden, you get a number, but it's based on your post-tax.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
The plot thickens.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, love to hear more from all y'all in the audience, and like I said, to our friends across the pond, how it works for you guys and all that good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So this is a short one. I feel like the only reason why it's short is because we're three people and not four people, and which means we would have just had more voices to talk. But it is what it is. Corey will be back with us for the next episode, but that's going to wrap it up for tonight's episode of Boss Rush After Dark. We want to thank you all for hanging in and listening with us. If you're out there in podcast land, listening to us on audio, or if you're checking us out on YouTube on the video streams and whatnot, please feel free. Give us a like. If you like the show, give us a like. If there's something about the show you didn't like, give us a dislike. But just a favor, if you're gonna dislike it, please let us know the reason why you disliked it, because we're only trying to make this show better for you. Check the show notes. You'll find all the information for how to get in contact with us and stay in contact with us. You'll also have information about Patreon, and if you want to become a patron, it's as easy as $1. But yeah,
Look at
Stephanie,
us asking
Pat,
for tips when we just talked about that.
Yeah, it's essentially like a little tipping jar, right?
but
We're
our
doing
tips
a
are actually
service
going.
for you, so
Our tips are going back into the product, unfortunately, because we don't see a dime of that. that
no, we do
money
not.
We want to thank you all for listening on behalf of my co-hosts Pat and Stephanie. Wonderful job, wonderful
Mm.
job. I love doing this with you guys. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up and say goodnight. You all have a good time. Be safe out there. Depending on when and how you're listening to us. Oh look, what is this?
It's a puppy.
She opened my
Hello.
door. She opened my door. She was like, "What are you doing?"
She's like, it's time for bed.
That's exactly what she's saying. She's saying it's time for
Mhm.
bed because it's her night to sleep with me.
Oh, wow.
All right, all right. Well, say good night, Ellie. And we will see you all next time on Boss Rush After Dark, the alternative podcast show where we talk about things that aren't always content appropriate for the other shows on the network. You be safe
And
out there.
puppies. We
Happy
talked
New
about
Year.
puppies.
Oh, she's got the hiccups. All right. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.